Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Thank you so much for starting your day with us on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. You can watch us live on StarTimes channel 190 on the DTT platform. You can also check us out on all of our social media platforms, especially on YouTube, where we can also watch live proceedings from here. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can check us at Western Spring Television. Femi Olanikwekon is my name. It's just 2 days to the D-Day, 2 days to the presidential and national assembly elections. And essentially, effectively, all campaigns will end by midnight today. And so if you check all of the papers, you get to see that many of their front pages have banner advertorials, in front. But many Nigerians who waited for some good news from the Supreme Court yesterday will have to wait a little longer before we get a decision on that. But Femi Olanikwekon is my name. Is good to have you join us on Morning Spring this morning.
All right, Emmanuel Ojadigele is my name. It's good to have you join us this morning. Of course, the show is where we bring you our insightful newspaper analysis, engaging interview segment, and I tell you who is trending, what is trending, and why they are trending, and what people are saying about the who, the what, and the why. Well, it's all about the election, all about the cash crunch, all about the fuel scarcity. A lot of things are happening in the country at the moment, and we only hope that you are on the safe side of everything happening, and that we also hope that you are not in any way affected, really affected to the point of incapacitation. I will pray, like Femi will always say, that you have springs in your steps for the morning. It's close to the weekend, but this weekend is a peculiar one because of the election, and we hope that you're getting ready.
All right, so and just before Tokwe comes in, we should let you know that in those peculiar times, someone is celebrating birthday today. I wonder how birthdays fall within peculiar times.
Oh, well, in 2019, the birthday
was also around
was on my birthday.
It
was on the election.
Circumstance,
general election.
Is that?
It means that maybe I'm destined to be president. You never know.
Oh,
yeah.
Destined to be controversial. Thanks for joining us this morning on the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. I am Temitope Ajijalaoluola. Good morning.
So we should say happy birthday to Emmanuel. Perhaps we'll give you an address of where the party proper will take place. There was a surprise, really, yesterday for Nengi. But then, trust us on this show. We are not doing surprise. We're doing the proper party. Talk ways in that.
Thank you so much. I really want to say thank you for my fans and everybody who's planning the party. Say thank you. Really big thank you to you.
Well, let's get down to business first. I will come down to the party later. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll bring you the newspapers.
The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British Army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The amalgamation of Nigeria was designed for economic reasons by the colonial administration to offset Northern Protectorate budget deficit by Southern Protectorate surplus returns. The amalgamation had ad initio created imbalance in the economic political structure of Nigeria and was responsible for the persistent hiccups and the efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to its sustenance. Western Spring Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Let's run you through the papers now this morning on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Not much to talk about aside election. Elections dominating most of the papers for review, not all of the papers, and not much to talk about because the front pages of the papers are also dominated by advertorials of the political parties. But just the few headlines we have on the front page of the Punch newspaper. INEC distributes election materials as Buhari meets security chiefs. President wants INEC security agents against failure hand over 12 billion naira security equipment. That's the banner headline of the Punch newspaper this morning. So, I mean, we saw that also happen here in Osun State. INEC distributing materials, and that was at the CBN. That's, you know, sort of slight departure from what we had at the Osun governorship election. There was issues then about if Emefiele was running for president and sort of compromised the integrity of that institution. But it's good that we're back at the CBN.
Yes, of course it is. It appears that the CBN is the most secure facility that you can keep such sensitive materials. But it also goes to show that you know, we're really in the last, like you say, we're hitting the home stretch now, and we're trying to make plans to ensure that things go well. I saw videos from some parts of the country, particularly from Ekiti, Lagos, and Cross River, and the process did go smoothly. There was heavy security presence, even here in Osun State. The president's warning is timeless. It's very much important. They need to, especially INEC, they need to be up and doing to restore public confidence. I mean, a lot of persons still have not forgotten that incident with Peter Obi's post, you know, on the Premium Times post that was liked by the INEC handle. Some of these issues have really, and the agitation for the removal of Olusegun Agbaje in Lagos. All of these issues have really punctured INEC's credibility, and if the president is issuing a warning, it's really very important that they meet up with standards and show, not just keep saying, but show that you know, they are up to task, and the security agents too.
It's very important to know that President Buhari has reiterated over and again that he wants free and fair elections, and I think it's one of the legacies that he wants to leave behind. And if this pulls through, it's going to be a very good one, you know, by his administration.
Well, so I mean, we do hope that the election will pass off peacefully and credibly too. You know, some of the other issues that the man raised, for me, I felt they were blown out of proportion. The INEC liking, scandalous really, but you're sure it must have been done by a lower ranking staff,
just a handler,
you know,
who forgot to log out his own account,
something like that, who is perhaps you know, has some sympathy for one of the political parties. And the Agbaje issue, I also feel was blown out of proportion, because if you put it in context, I mean, what the man was actually saying, I saw the interview, and it seemed to be saying that some people should have transferred.
Yes, that was actually...
And I remember that the Rector Osun, the previous also made something like that, you know. But, you know, all is fair in war. And when issues like these happen, you know, when we are with issues like this, talking about election, every statement is extra scrutinized, you know, carries extra significance. So that's why you should also be careful about your choice of words and, you know, whatever, every mannerism, even everything altogether.
And put your words in proper context. Because I went back to watch that interview, and he was actually very clear. He wasn't ambiguous, you know, but because ethnic sentiments had been whipped up, you know, it's been whipped up so badly. That's what really led to Agbaje's agitation. What he said was what any normal rec would say. You know, people from the east who came down to Lagos, some of them should have transferred, but because they didn't do it, and, you know, because of time and all of that. But then it's Nigeria, and it's politicking, and those things happen.
All right, so we're the other headline here, just two headlines on the front page of the Punch newspaper. The other headline is politicians stockpiling old notes to buy votes, EFCC chair. Emmanuel, talk about, I mean, this is going to be a true test of INEC, of the EFCC of the Nigerian states to enforce rules. You know why? The federal government has outlawed, you know, render invalid the old notes, except 200 naira. But some state governors have told their citizens, please go ahead and keep spending. And there are also reports that some of the governors, you know, whether true or wrong, still have some of these notes stockpiled.
Even banks are still accepting.
You know, accepting, but not for transaction, just taking it in,
back,
you know, here now. So let's get to see if they vote buyers, because this is going to be a transaction. There'll be vote sellers and vote buyers. So with vote sellers be
Use the
willing
old
to
notes.
accept the old notes? Emmanuel,
Well,
you and your guys should watch out for that on election. I'd like to get the feedback.
yes, of course we will, and it's good to hear an official confirmation of what's been passing around and the grapevines. People saying politicians have stocked up. Now he's saying they're stockpiling. I would have preferred Punch abused have stockpiled. Because that's what's been. If you're saying stockpiling, it means they're just starting.
It's
now.
continuous.
Yes, it continues, and you begin to wonder. I saw a video that came out from I think Ogun State. I can't remember. A particular politician's insignia was on an envelope, and there were old notes inside, and it was probably a desperate measure to get rid of those old notes that they have in stock.
And the people collected it?
Yes, they collected it.
Trust
And they were,
Nigerians.
of course, it's free money, and they can always exchange it before the deadline, which has even passed.
Yeah.
But they are willing to. It's free money, and like you said, it will be a really, really strong test of the EFCC and the ICPC and other combined security agents to see how they would, monitor the elections to reduce vote trading, because on both sides, politicians induce, electorate also sell. So let's see how the government and its agencies will
And the
combat
fact that this is coming from the EFCC, it means that there would be measures, put in place now to stop, vote buying and vote selling, as you say.
Okay, so let's move on to the other paper. That's the Punch newspaper.
Well, on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the Daily Trust newspaper, still editorial there about one of the candidates in Saturday's election. But the banner headline says, at final peace accord signing, Buhari urges candidates to accept election outcome. And the writers there, as a Security Council to INEC, go ahead with polls. And sensitive materials arrive states. Buhari's statement there is quite antithetical to, his own position over the years. After losing his election, it really wasn't, didn't really accept those results. And now I
remember the violence that through the 2015 or was it 2011
election? Yes. Yeah. And some of the rhetorics that were bandied around, some of the statements were bandied around. It felt like Nigeria was going to war, And it's a good piece of advice, but I think that if you want to advise someone, you must have laid precedents, and there are people who would act on his own actions in the past to also institute, some sort of civil disobedience because the elections did not go their way, and then it's also good that the Security Council has told INEC to go ahead with the polls, because there were fears about the polls not going ahead. And we were talking about the insecurity yesterday, even in Anambra State as of yesterday, and Imo too. Do you see the security issue, really affecting the polls?
Well, it might affect in some areas, like the East now. Recently we've been having an upsurge in the attacks, especially to security outfits, and it's really it's concerning. It's worrisome as well that we're having all of this at this period. So it might affect in some areas, but not all.
Well, so I mean, the fact that it might in some areas means that it's going to affect the whole, because if you check what's happening in the East, a candidate was killed yesterday.
Yes.
Senatorial candidate for that matter of the Labour Party.
Yes.
And the unscrupulous Simon Ekpa has been issuing threats. There are concerns that he's going to declare a curfew, sort of.
Yes, asking people to stay at home, sit at home.
So it could affect. And so if you check the data, progressively from 1999 till date, the Southeast has had a drop in the turnout figures progressively. I mean, I don't know if it's progressively I should use now.
Yes.
It's been a decline in turnout from 1999. So with the current security challenges, the atmosphere of fear, uncertainty, and the anarchy, you might as well expect that there'll be a fewer turnout again.
Yes.
The polls,
Like with people, that woman, I keep making recourse to her, who was setting up for some election sensitization, and her business was literally burnt to the ground. by some of those sit-at-home enforcers. You know, she and her immediate family members, I don't see them going out to vote on Saturday. Now multiply that by other people who have also been affected. Yes, the senator, his family members, the people around him, they know they are no longer safe. You know, so, and what worries me is that they do not just kill or shoot. Now they've added arson. You know, they burn down people in cars, burn down cars, burn down buildings. It's wickedness, you know, and it may just cripple the polls, and that may also affect like I was saying, the general result if candidates do not get the required spread by by law, and we may just have a position where the elections don't go well. I think one of the guests we had was talking about the possibility of that happening. A possibility of a runoff because some persons wouldn't. And it may really affect the general outcome of the election. Well, still on the Daily Trust newspaper, there's a reminder there, the countdown, 2 days to go. On the writers, Nigeria elections matter to the world. That's the United States. NNPP accuses DSS of intimidation in Kano. Of course, the international community interested in Nigeria's election as always. The African Union monitoring group was in Abuja to see Professor Mahmoud Yakubu some days ago, and INEC gave us a figure yesterday. I think about 179 observers, 179,000 observers.
That should be the highest
ever.
So the attention of the world is effectively on Nigeria.
Yes, and that's because it used to be a 2-horse race, and now there are two more horses that have joined the race and have blown it really wide open, if you ask me. And that means that now it's going to be a keenly contested one, and everybody wants to see, will the third force or the fourth force, come up with an upstage? Will there be a maintenance of status quo? Will there be a change of power? All of these things are dynamics that are coming to play in this year's election.
Yes.
All right, so I guess that'll be all for
That's all on the Daily Trust. It's very scanty.
I'll move on quickly to This Day newspaper, and the headline says, National Security Council elections will hold as scheduled, and the riders, police probing some governors for allegedly inciting violence. U.S. harps on peaceful, free, fair voting process in Nigeria. PDP PCC condemns attack on TV radio station in Rivers. Just like we've been talking about the eastern part of the nation, even Rivers is having its fair share of violence, and the fact that PDP has condemned it is also, commendable. And remember that PDP did not have their campaigns in Rivers, and that was because the presidential candidate said the lives of people are not worth his ambition, and that's really commendable. And some redeployments have also happened in Rivers. It's also good.
Well, so it's reassuring that the National Security Council is reassuring Nigerians that the election will hold. They must have received briefing from the INEC chairman in spite of all of the uncertainty, the crisis, the financial crisis, and all of that. And it's also interesting to note that the police is saying that is probing some of those governors for allegedly inciting violence.
I see it as one of the biggest moves ever in this election. Some statements, some very inflammatory statements have been made, and people later come out to say I was taken out of context, but there was never context in the first place. For example, Wike coming out to say that don't vote someone who will kill me or who will kill me when he gets to power. These statements can, push people to become violent before, during, and even after the election, because it's not just about the election day, it's the aftermath. After the results have been declared we also have possible security issues. So if you've been saying certain things, if you've been, towing certain parts, yesterday there was the Oyo State governorship debate, and I was looking at some of the exchanges between the governors, the governorship candidate Seyi Makinde and Teslim Folarin. Some things were said, as regarding somebody being a criminal, someone killing someone, and those kind of statements.
Very strong statement.
Yeah, it's very strong. Seyi Makinde saying he has a file of one of the candidates being involved in the murder of someone. when you put all of these things together, it really hits. Others of these people don't understand that it's not worth your life, and the people who should be calming things down are the ones whipping up sentiments.
Well,
so it's good that they're being probed.
Yeah. So it's good that the place is saying it's probed. But I also think, for context, the issue of some of the governor's statement regarding the Naira redesign is also what the police is also part of what the police will be looking at. But then so that is also debatable, because some of them will say, we said it's in the interest of our citizens.
Yes,
because our citizens
in line with the Supreme Court ruling.
So,
yes.
How do you handle Nasir El-Rufai, for instance, went ahead to even do a state broadcast
immediately after the
countermanding the directive of the president. But we'll see how that goes. And it stands condemned again, the fact that we had more violence in Rivers State. So this time, attacking media institutions, a television station, a radio station belonging to a House of Reps member who is a supporter of Atiku Abubakar. I don't know. I mean, it beats me what is wrong with politicians in Rivers State. It beats me how Governor Nyesom Wike, and I think he should be called out, is acting like he's going to leave office. He needs to rein in his guys. He needs to let them...
Even himself. He needs to rein in himself. He needs to rein in himself. For God's sake, Atiku couldn't campaign...
Yes.
Yesterday, Obi too, there was the issue of Obi being harassed. He had to leave. I don't think he spent up to 30 minutes. I've seen some stories on online that Wike had ordered some persons to
that's
make
ridiculous.
Very.
It shouldn't be happening. For God's sake.
It's a condemnable action by sitting governor.
Governor Wike has less than 5 months.
Yes, less than 5 months.
Even if he has 4 years, is definitely going to
leave
someday. But then, not everyone, and that's why it's democracy. You should be able to tolerate dissenting opinion. People would not agree with you, but then you want everyone to toe your line in a state.
It's not possible.
I mean, that's uncalled for. That's uncalled for. I mean, I'm sure there'll be deniers that I know nothing about this, but if you check the pattern of attacks and the people the attacks have been happening to, the owner of this station is a supporter of Atiku Abubakar. The station was attacked, was destroyed. The owner said, well, he's thankful to God that no life was lost. But we are looking at jobs lost. We are looking at the fact that some people will be thrown into the labor market. They'll be rendered unemployed. And so it's not about lives lost alone, which is topmost on our concern. We should also look at the economic impact on the citizens and residents of Rivers State. So for God's sake, what do we stand to achieve? If something is happening here in Osun State,
yes.
I'll be getting to talk about it this morning.
Number of killings.
Wanton destruction of property and killings of people because we want to do election. And so why are we like that in Nigeria alone? So you go to Niger, you go to Ghana, neighboring states, you don't get this level of orgy of violence because people want to elect leaders who may even come in and not do the bidding of the people that brought them into power.
And like you said, the governors or some persons will come out to deny. But my problem has always been you don't even have to actively encourage it by not doing anything. You've also, told people what to do. I made reference to Donald Trump and the January 6th Capitol riot. He didn't say anything. If you examine his statement, he just questioned the legitimacy of the election, and that spiraled into.
That's enough to incite.
It just spiraled into violence and all of that. And I think that the people involved Governor Wike particularly, must caution himself, this reminds us of El-Rufai coming out to say there's some sniper list, he's on number 1 or number 2. It's almost the same script that's been playing out here, accusing someone already of planning to kill you before he even gets to office. I mean, it's not really fair looking at what the effect will be on lives and property.
All right. Because of our time, I think we'll just go straight to the Guardian newspaper now. So that we bring in our guest. Again, Supreme Court defers ruling on Naira redesign to after election. And that was a disappointment to most Nigerians yesterday. Quite a number of riders here. Candidate suits by 16 states. Consolidate suits by 16 states. Fixes March 3 for judgment. Await our decision. Supreme Court tells Abia other states seeking to join suit. We are overburdened. Something must be done on Nigeria Constitution. Judges lament. Nigerians left in the middle of the sea. Sheikh Husani react. Kosh swap riots. We're investigating governors over inciting utterances. It says IGP, EFCC moves against the vote bias, deploy operatives to state FCT, security atmosphere right, elections good to go, Security Council. That's the banner headline on the Guardian newspaper this morning, Emmanuel.
And the number of riders there, very interesting. Interesting also to see that judges are lamenting that the Constitution, something has to be done. You know, like you said at some point on the show, it's not all cases that should, go
to the Supreme Court. Yeah.
It just has to, they will tire out. Human error begins to come in, and then you see some mispronouncement and some other issues. But then I think Nigerians should just wait till March 3rd and go with the current arrangement peacefully. Let's not take law into our hands. And the Security Council, okay, in the election is also a good one. But I hope that they're not doing that mainly for optics. I hope that it's really because they have information that the elections will go peacefully.
Yes. And that they have plans to, to start rolling, for the safety of lives, the property, and even the election materials too.
All right, so we're just some of the other headlines just below the nameplate. Your vote matters. Blinken tells Nigerians in a video message reminiscent of what Obama did in 2015. I'm not always comfortable with foreign nations getting involved somewhat in our election. I'm not always comfortable, subtly, overtly, or covertly. But that is also because we do not play by the rules here. So sometimes we need someone outside to breathe down on us to get us to do the right thing.
Yes.
Buhari Osinbajo support group apologizes to Nigerians. Dumps APC for PDP. What shall we not see?
Number of groups. So many groups within groups.
Okay, NNPP petitions NSA, DSS, others alleges siege to Kano campaign office. That's the fourth force.
Yes,
that's the NNPP, the fourth force.
NNPP,
Kano is really,
sort of the stronghold.
Yeah, the stronghold of the NNPP. It's expected to have some strong showings in that state. Court remands Rivers federal lawmaker in prison custody for the 8 hours to election. So Rivers again
in the news.
Rivers again.
Rivers is where the governorship candidate was declared wanted. I think it was declared wanted at some point by the EFCC. Yes.
But something like this happened prior to the primaries also.
Election.
I think Farada Gogo.
Yes.
Just few days to the primaries. Well, it was the one that wanted to challenge Sim Fubara.
Yes.
For the governorship candidate, but then it was just, and then the courts
carried away.
Oh my goodness! Some of these things are very sickening. That should not happen in a sane society.
And that explains why the foreign powers, like you say, always want
to come in and the diplomatic missions of the US, the UK, Norway, Japan, and one other country issued a statement late last night calling for peace, calling that everybody plays by play by the rules.
I've seen close to 5, 6, 7 UK prime minister at the build up to their elections. I've never seen anybody calling for peace or for calm. It's just go out and vote.
It's who we are. That's why we are a special breed, and that's why those guys have a more functional society. But that's the much about the papers this morning. We'll take a break now. When we return, we're bringing our guest. I'll be talking about some violence also here in Osun State. It's Tuesday, 2 days to the election. Since last week, there's been violence and killings and vandalism, destruction of property in Ilesha, one of the major towns here in Osun State. We'll be focusing on that after this break.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever is pounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist. to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast. Detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works Obakoso, Obawaja and Moremi took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. The history of guns is traced to China. The Chinese had developed a technology civilization that produced devices identified as guns at about 1000 AD. By the end of the 13th century, the devices had become true guns and described as metal-barreled firearms that fired single projectiles which occluded the barrel. When did gun become an instrument of war? The first battles to be decided by firearms were between French and Spanish soldiers. The early 16th century warfare in Nano in 1515, Bicocca in 1522, and Pavia in 1525. The wars were fought in Italy. The gun is a weapon of destruction and death, but humanity sees it as a potent instrument of family destruction. People with guns feel safer even if they don't display it. Western Spring Television identifies history of guns as a watershed event in history.
right, thank you so much for staying with us. It's here on to Morning Spring, and it's coming to you from Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. You can watch us live on StarTimes channel 190 on the DTT platform. You can also check us out on YouTube on Western Spring Television and watch all of our other proceedings on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We have our guest with us here this morning. It's 2 days to the presidential and national assembly elections, and so the orgy of violence in Ilesha in the Osun East Senatorial District of Osun State. The APC claims that at least 5 persons have been killed, alleging that they were killed by thugs sponsored by the candidates of the PDP in this election. The PDP has also reacted, also leveling counter-allegations, saying they've also lost some of their own members to violence perpetrated by the APC. We'll be joined live in the studio this morning by a chieftain of the party who is from Ilesha, Mr. Oladele Familusi. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Spring this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Femi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Also, we hope to have joined us also via Zoom this morning the candidate of the party of the West House of Assembly. That's Honorable, who is the current member of the House, Honorable Wale Adedoyin. And we do hope also that at some point we're able to join us the candidate of the PDP for that constituency also, that's Ilesha West constituency. But let's start with Mr. Oladele Familusi. So what's happening in Ilesha? We've seen videos, we've seen pictures of properties destroyed, of lives lost. The Speaker of the House of Assembly at a press conference yesterday, we alleged that there was an attempt on his life yesterday, and business premises of Wale Adedoyin also destroyed. Some pictures of people killed. What's happening in Ilesha?
Well, thank you once again, Mr. Femi. As far as in Ilesha land, not only in Ilesha is concerned, I think this the reasons violence, attack, or whatever began like last week. Began last week, and what really happened last week Friday? No, it was on Thursday. It was last week Thursday. We just woke up in a good morning like this. Then we discovered that all our billboard, our candidates' billboards were destroyed. Destroyed by who?
Candidates. Which of the candidates?
All our candidates, from the House of Assembly, House of Reps, House of the Senate, all the billboards, Ilesha, all the billboards in Ilesha, even up to Osunjela, were destroyed. They saw the billboard, they destroyed them. We were like, who could have done this? Who could have done this? What could have caused this? We have not been able to get somebody, just a single person that, okay, to claim that he was responsible for it. To worsen the whole situation, that same day, they went to the family house of Honorable Sunday BC, who happens to be the former acting chairman of the PDP in Osun. They went to his family house, destroyed so many things there. They went to Honorable Sanya Omiri's father's house at Bolonduro there. Shot, destroyed so many things, destroyed billboard, destroyed so many things. They were trying to gain entrance into the house. There was one other woman, Yeye Oge, who happens to be a member of the PDP, a chieftain of the PDP in Ilesha. He's there. They went to her house, destroyed so many things there. So I was with my principal, Honorable Sunday BC, that same day, because he had a program on one radio station like that in Ilesha. So after the program, then we went to report to the DPO, Ijamo police station, police station there. We reported the case, and the PDO told us that fine, that they have also heard of the issue, but they are already conducting their investigation to fish out the people who are behind the scene. That's a Monday, that's a Friday, people started calling us again that, okay, the APC was holding a rally at Iroju. And in the rally, there were leaders of the APC, candidates of the party in the forthcoming election. They were there also. So people started calling that, okay, these people were shooting sporadically, they were tearing billboards, they were destroying billboards, they were tearing posters, they were doing this and so now this is the beginning. of
So
the whole
was that
show.
what led? I mean, so was that why the PDP attacked the APC?
No. Now we had the governor, the executive governor of the state, Senator Ademola Adeleke, had a mop-up rally in Ilesha like 2 days ago. 2 days ago. So we had a successful rally. Each free rally. It was after the rally because it was Ijesha South Federal Constituency rally. So people came from Atakumosa East, Atakumosa West, Ilesha West, and Ilesha East. It was after we had a successful rally when these people were returning across the express at Bolonduro. So at that Iwara Junction. So the APC guys, the APC thugs there, started attacking our people to the point of killing 2 of the PDP members right there on the spot. Part of those who came to welcome the governor for the rally, to cheer the governor for the rally.
Was that after or during the rally?
It was after, like about 5, in fact, it was less than 20 minutes after the rally.
So, I mean, the APC issued a statement on Saturday alleging that thugs of the PDP killed one member, and he gave his name as Ebenezer Alaro. I would say he's a member of the party of Ward 9 in Rojo Ilesha, and said it was even the one that drove the Capstar car, the Capstar vehicle used by the APC candidates for their ward by ward rally in the constituency.
I never heard of
on
that.
Friday.
I never heard of that. I never heard of that.
Alaro. Okay.
I never heard of
and
that.
they said the attack was, by the instruction of Sonia Omirin, the candidates of the party for the South Federal constituency, and they said it was led by one Bongo. You never heard of that?
I never heard of that.
Okay, so they also issued another statement that 5 of their members were killed just before these other one, the press conference that the party had yesterday. They are alleging that the PDP was also responsible for that. They said Bode Kayode shot Adebiyi, that a member of their party, Ibrahim Adebiyi Alaja, was also killed, and that was on Monday. Are you aware of that also? Are you aware of that violence?
I'm just hearing that for the first time.
The same as the one on Friday?
The same as one on Friday.
All right, so you've made
same as one on Friday.
You've made some so you are only aware of the issues that are affecting your party and not of the APC. You said that after the rally, the mop-up rally, that 2 persons were killed by the APC.
By the APC,
thugs.
yes.
On what authority, on what grounds do you make such a statement that they were APC thugs?
You know, the thugs, the political thugs know themselves. And people were there because this thing happened in the broad daylight, not at night. It was on the broad daylight. People were there, even where the junction, where the incident happened. It used to be a very busy and rowdy place. People were there. There is a market there. Motor park is there. There's a motor park there. So that is not how they will have to hurt. People will hurt and people will not see them. They saw them. It was a broad daylight. Because we had the rally we had was around the rally we had was around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And the rally did not even last more than 30 minutes. And these people were returning to their base. And they were attacked at Bolonduro. 2 were killed. They maimed many. We still have people now at the Wesley Gate Hospital there, between life and death.
Yeah, so from December, when all of this really took off, the killing, the attacks on some chieftains of the APC, there have been names bandied around, saying that the PDP thugs by name this person. Have you had any information as to who exactly? You said the thugs know themselves. Have they given you any names? Do you know? Can you pinpoint anybody? When
they hacked, because I can only tell you when a particular name is mentioned. I can only tell you, okay, if this person was somebody I know, I will tell you I know him. But these names you are mentioning now, that you are referring to, that the said APC is claiming that they are members of the PDP, I've never heard their names before. So if it were to be people that I know, that, okay, these people are really members of the PDP, I will tell you they are members of the PDP.
What about the attack on Wale Adedoyin's business premises, Bukateria? And Wale Adedoyin, we hope to have him on Zoom also, if it's possible here. Okay. I hope we have him so that we can bring him on to join us. I've seen pictures of that. He's sent pictures, or I've seen pictures on social media of the destruction of that property. He is alleging that the attack was led by the candidate of the PDP, Wale Akerele, otherwise known as Water. That was actually the one who led that attack personally to destroy that place. I had to call the security to displace them.
The Wale Akerele I know, who happens to be the candidate of the PDP for the forthcoming House of Assembly election, is somebody I know who has zero tolerance for violence. He doesn't engage in violence. I learned yesterday morning, because I was not even in Elisha, but I learned yesterday, I was told yesterday morning that some hoodlums 2 days ago went to his office, destroyed the office. When you still get to Elisha today, go there and look at what is there. They destroyed the property, they destroyed the office, they shot at the door. They broke glass, his own campaign office at Okeomiru.
What happened to the Bukateria? Are you aware of the destruction of property at Bukateria also? I
was not at Elisha yesterday. I'm telling you. But I know because I saw the picture and the video of Wale Akerele.